With the recent release of Clair Obscur Expedition 33, the internet is ablaze, calling this game one of the hidden gems of the last decade. Hitting some crazy milestones within the first week of its release, along with some notable content creators giving the game some, let's say, positive reviews. As someone who's played a crap ton of RPGs in my day, as well as being the self-proclaimed indie king, I felt that it's my job to jump into the game and see whether or not this new release is as good as everyone says it is. Is this game the frontrunner for the game of the year? Let's jump into it. Let's start off with the good. The story of the game has me feeling some sort of way. And when I say that, I mean it's pretty damn good. When I first saw the trailer of this game at the Xbox showcase, I was pretty interested in the premise of what they were setting up here. Set in the city of Lumiere, the narrative follows Expedition 33, a group of volunteers on a mission to stop the Paintress, a mysterious godlike figure who annually causes people of a certain age to vanish by painting their age on a monolith. And right off the rip, we get introduced to the main protagonist, Gustav, who is giving us some Shy Guy vibes. Like, come on, dude, do you have like negative Riz or something? But then you realize this world is pretty screwed up. Some horrible stuff happens and everyone's loved ones, and even your girl, vanish like they just got Thanos'd. And that happening along with the music hitting in the background, I mean, I'm not really feeling so good. But here the story picks up. Gustav leaves Expedition 33 to go and enter into this other dimension to stop this Paintress from killing any more of the people of Luminaire. Now, I gotta say, I was pretty much hooked on the premise of the story. I won't give any spoilers of what happens when you get into the new world, but what I can say is that you are instantly immersed in the world, and there is a compelling story that makes you want to just continue playing. You just feel a sense of emotion and connection that really gives these characters some real dynamic relatability. I mean, I'm always down for games that make you feel a sense of emotion and sort of put you in a spot where you think, if I was in this world, would I do the same thing? And that's just appealing. The characters are also pretty damn good too. Gustav is clearly lacking in the Riz department, but he clearly cares for those around him. He basically is the elder to all the people around him and doesn't want to see any more people die because of what is happening in this world. And he'll do anything for those in need. Mael is basically the younger sister to Gustav, who lost her entire family because of this situation, and is going on this expedition to support Gustav as well as try to find a sense of purpose. Lune is the love interest somewhat to Gustav. Literally, his girlfriend straight up gave him a hall pass before she died to give him the ability to date her if he wanted to, which is kind of wild to me. But the bottom line is there are a decent amount of characters that give off different traits, and each are good in their own way. Their dialogue is pretty good and gives moments that show tension as well as really good story development. Now, when it comes to the gameplay, I gotta say it's pretty damn solid. It kind of follows a pretty standard set of turn-based combat that we've seen in games like Persona. There's different elements that have weaknesses and strengths. I do have to say there's only 5 elements that are there, but even that being the case, it does make for some dynamic gameplay. But I really enjoy the fact that they have these reaction events that include counters, dodges, and jump attacks. And it makes you really have to understand the best way to counter certain attacks. If you're not good at timed events like I am, where you kind of look like an idiot, then you're gonna have a really tough time here. There are times I was trying to dodge something when I'm supposed to jump and I just kind of look like a fool on the camera. Not only do you have the ability to make adjustments to your character when it comes to their skills, but there are 33 different weapons you can find and replace your character with. Each weapon has a level cap that they can reach by just playing the game, and there are only certain legendary weapons that give you the ability to reach level 33. Each weapon has elements and traits that give you various ways to play. You can really strategize your approach to every sort of gameplay moment that you have. There's also things called Pictos, which are basically collectible items that provide passive buffs to your character. They can give your character things like increased damage on base attacks, defense boost when you reach below 50% life, additional attack powers when you hit perfect dodges, which I'm definitely not hitting, and other things along the way. And the more you use these different Pictos, you actually level them up. And then there's things called Luminos, which is basically skill points for you to add other Pictos to your character that are actually already equipped to the rest of your party. Meaning that if you have some characters that have these attack boosts, even if you have Gustav that doesn't really prioritize that type of build, you can actually use your Luminos to actually add those skill points as well. So it makes you even think further to say, well, yes, even if I don't want to have Gustav be over P in my attack-based power, I can actually give him those types of abilities if I actually equip those types of skills to my rest of my team. So it kind of gets a little complicated, but at the same time, makes you really think. Accessories give your character added boosts and are usually found in the world or purchased from merchants. So it gives you just so many different ways you can customize your character, even though there's only roughly one hairstyle you can give Gustav. It seems like he can either go with the really messy hair look or make your guy look like the dude from Twilight. I don't really know which one I'd rather go with, but if I can be the Batman, then I'm not gonna really hate on that. What I really love the most is that they have this really good progression system. Your character unlocks points as you level up, and for each ability you unlock, it gives you higher level elemental powers based on your character. Gustav seems to be really into this ice/lightning type of power, and he has a robotic arm similar to that of Bucky, who is the Winter Soldier. So you kind of want to keep the ability to do this overcharge attack because it is so damn powerful. But in order for you to get this type of power, you have to land a lot of hits. And sometimes you want to include skill abilities that have multiple hits that you can include in a chain reaction, because then you can actually get your overcharge ability quicker if you are smart in your strategy. And I'm all for those turn-based games that actually give you the ability to strategize the way you play. And it gives me kind of a vibe of Persona. And I know a lot of people said Final Fantasy, but I kind of got a sense of Paper Mario Thousand Year Door, because you're kind of picking skill abilities that you want to use for your character, and they each kind of have their certain level of skill points you need in order for you to actually use them. But I think probably the best part of this game has to be the vibes. And I know there's not really a vibe counter when it comes to the Game Awards, but one thing I will say is I'm a big fan of gaming music. I'm one of those people that will put on my phone and just start jamming out to Halo music or Persona or any of these different type of soundtracks that are out there. And I was extremely surprised that Expedition 33 came out swinging with some banger tunes. The fact that this soundtrack gave me a sense of goosebumps is kind of wild. The piano just hits you in the feels, and it fits perfectly well in the game. Like, I honestly was tearing up a little bit in the beginning of the game, not because my boy didn't have any riz, but because the music alongside the moments that just gave you a sense of sadness and pain. And not often do you really see music tied so damn well to an emotional moment. And people really kind of forsake this idea. Music in video games gives the whole story an additional boost that not many really understand, and it drives in the emotion. And what I really like about this game is that no matter which place you go to, there's a sense of a musical tune that kind of drives home that area. For example, if you go in an underwater level, you're gonna get some tunes that kind of drive home that type of feeling. Every combat scenario also has a different tune based on the level. So it just shows you that this indie squad has put so much time and effort into the music soundtrack that it really just makes this game feel even better. But before we jump into the bad, if you liked the video so far, drop a thumbs up and subscribe. If you want to support the channel, hit that join button, become a member of the channel for some awesome perks and rewards. Now let's jump back into the video. And with the good, we have to talk about the bad. Now, this game doesn't have a crazy amount of bugs, which is a good thing. But I gotta say, you can definitely tell it was made by an indie studio. Some of the bugs I played were kind of hilarious, and not in a way where I'm like, oh, you know, it's okay, no worries. It kind of does get annoying, but it kind of just makes you laugh because you never expected these types of bugs to happen in a video game in 2025. For example, I love the music of this game, and I kind of went on an entire rant about how it makes me feel. But it doesn't mean that I need to hear the music only in cutscenes. It kind of makes me think, did the voice actors just whisper into the microphone as they were filming? Because there are times where I'm sitting there like, what? I know I'm getting old and all, but I'm not thinking that my hearing's shot. Like, can you speak a little louder now? Are you feeling sad? I kind of am a little surprised that this kind of sprinkled through the cracks here. And then sometimes when I was playing the game, there's some real emotional moment and the tunes are really slapping. And we have some great dialogue between Gustav and Mael, and then all of a sudden we get to the next part and I just see Mael sprinting the hell out of there. And no matter what happened, I was walking or jogging, she just sprints to the next checkpoint, kind of just leaving me in the dust.
When I was working as a courier. Come on, Gustav, speed up a bit. Sophie will have already gamaged by the time you've arrived.
I didn't think we were running to the next checkpoint. I thought we were going to walk together to the next street. And then sometimes I'd be fighting in a really intense battle between me and some other characters. And all of a sudden I look to my enemy and they're just sitting there twerking. Like, I'm not joking. I thought they were breaking it down out there, and I really was surprised. And I kind of was sitting there like, I know the music's good and all, but dude, can you just sit still for a moment? I mean, this kind of just tells me, yeah, this is an indie studio and there's a lot of bugs. Nothing game breaking, but at the same time, it's kind of just like, yeah, this is kind of hilarious. And I know that everyone is sitting there going bonkers for this whole Unreal Engine 5, but I do notice that there are still a lot of flaws with it, especially when it comes to the PC. Rendering is going to be an issue for the PC. There's a whole lot of stuttering and the FPS rate just kind of drops a lot. And sure, I played a lot of it on console, but if you were a PC gamer, which it seems that's where a majority of the sales are coming from, you kind of can notice that there are some slight issues when it comes to this system. And I'm sure that over time, the dev team it will add some updates, but it is something I do need to address. Overall, this game really surprised me. The original trailer for Expedition 33, when I first saw it at the Xbox showcase, was pretty interesting. And I said, you know, I have a feeling this game's going to be pretty solid, but I did not imagine this. This is an indie game from 30 developers that's worth $50 with more than 20 hours of gameplay, and it's available on Game Pass, and I mean, that's a steal. So whether you're a Game Pass subscriber or you aren't, this game feels really worth it. Because how often do you see a game that isn't $70 or $80, that isn't overhyped, and is longer than 6 hours of gameplay, and actually land this damn well? Plus, they weren't even shown to a large extent when it comes to any pre-launch advertisements. They were nearly shadow dropped, and it landed this well. The gameplay, the vibes, the overall story are great. And honestly, I feel like even with the rendering issues and slight bugs, this game is a must play for anyone that is a turn-based fan. And I currently think that this game is a frontrunner for the Game of the Year, and the devs over at Split Fiction would be real nervous. I'm giving Expedition 33 a 9.3 out of 10 in a Marsman Gaming Medal of Awesome. I'm looking forward to seeing if this game were to get a DLC or any other further expansions going forward, because if Sandfall Interactive continues to show their talents like they did with this game, then I will continue to be a fan of whatever project they work on for the future. But what do you think about Expedition 33? Do you consider this game a gem of 2025 or just overhyped? Let me know what you think in the comments below. And if you enjoy this type of content, hit a thumbs up and subscribe to support the channel. If you like platformers, we did discuss the other frontrunner for Game of the Year for 2025 in Split Fiction. Check out the video in the end screen. Until next time, this is Marsman signing off. Game on.